Wisdom, wisdom, that's the test. Which rival wisdom team is best? Quote definitions and synergies defined by Claude AI, coordinated by Grandpa Lou Valier. Take care and enjoy.
Team 47, Grow Stronger. Quote definitions, biographical context, and synergy analysis to replace hate with motivational education to guidealife.com. Quote 47.1. Stronger by weakness, wiser men become. Edmund Burke, 1729 to 1797. Quote definition. Genuine strength and genuine wisdom are not built in the absence of weakness, but through it. The experience of limitation, failure, and inadequacy, honestly faced and genuinely learned from, produces the kind of strength and wisdom that comfortable success never requires and therefore never develops. Weakness is not the enemy of becoming stronger, but its most reliable teacher. Quote application. The mission's difficulties, limitations, and failures are not obstacles to its becoming stronger, but the very mechanism through which genuine strength is built. Every inadequate approach honestly confronted, every failure genuinely learned from, every weakness faced without denial, these are the experiences through which the mission grows stronger and wiser in exactly the way that uninterrupted success cannot produce. Edmund Burke appears in teams 8, 15, 17, 28, 34, and 44 as well. The breadth of his practical wisdom makes him one of the most frequently appearing authors in the collection. Born in 1729 in Dublin and serving as a member of Parliament for nearly 3 decades, Burke experienced the full range of political difficulty, the losing of causes he believed in, the isolation of unpopular positions, the repeated experience of being in the right minority that was nevertheless outvoted. His observation about weakness producing strength and wisdom reflects his direct political experience. The positions that had strengthened his thinking most were the ones where he had been genuinely wrong, genuinely limited, or genuinely defeated, and had faced those experiences honestly rather than explaining them away. He had grown stronger by weakness, in the most literal sense of his own formulation. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Face weakness honestly as the teacher that genuine strength requires, not the comfortable narrative of strength despite weakness, but the genuine learning from weakness that produces the strength that was not previously there. 2. Apply this to the mission's honest self-assessment. Every limitation identified clearly, every failure analyzed genuinely, every inadequacy faced without denial is the lesson that builds the strength the mission needs for the next stage of its work. 3. Trust Burke's sequence. Weakness honestly faced produces wisdom. Wisdom accumulated produces strength. Strength built through wisdom is the kind that holds when it matters rather than collapsing under the first genuine test.
Quote 47.2. The game is never lost till won. George Crabbe, 1754 to 1832. Quote definition. The outcome of any significant contest, any effort toward genuine change, any sustained commitment toward a worthy goal, is not determined until it is determined. The game that appears to be lost continues to be genuinely contested as long as anyone continues to play it. The final score is only final when the final whistle sounds. Every apparent defeat before that moment is provisional. Quote application. For the mission of making America wiser and kinder, Crabbe's principle is the standing instruction against premature concession. The battle against hatred and division is not lost while anyone continues to fight it genuinely. Every apparent setback is provisional. The apparent losses in particular communities, on particular issues, in particular periods are not the final score. The game is not lost until it is won, and the mission plays to win it. George Crabbe was born in 1754 in Aldborough, Suffolk, England, the son of a saltmaster and tax collector, struggled with poverty throughout his early adult life. His medical practice failed, his writing was rejected, and he spent periods in genuine destitution before Edmund Burke, quoted above, read his manuscript and provided the support that launched his career. He became one of the most respected English poets of the late 18th and early 19th centuries. His Borough Tales and Tales of the Hall depicted rural English life with a realistic honesty that contrasted sharply with the idealized pastoralism of his contemporaries, and influenced writers from Jane Austen to Benjamin Britten, who set the borough to music as the opera Peter Grimes. His observation about games and their outcomes came from a man who had personally experienced the prolonged appearance of loss before the genuine arrival of what eventually proved to be his career's genuine success. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Refuse premature concession in any effort toward genuine good. The game that is still being played is not yet lost, and the appearance of defeat before the final outcome is provisional rather than conclusive. 2. Apply this specifically to the mission's longest commitments. The cultural transformation of replacing hatred with wisdom is a multi-decade game, and the apparent losses in particular periods are not the final score of the longer contest. 3. Use Crabbe's principle as the standing instruction when discouragement is most acute. The game is not lost. It has not been won yet. Continue playing, because the only way to convert provisional defeat into actual loss is to stop playing.
Quote 47.3. Friendship is essentially a partnership. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC. Quote definition. Genuine friendship shares the essential structure of genuine partnership. Mutual commitment to shared goals, genuine reciprocity of investment and benefit, the accountability that comes from genuinely matching to each other's outcomes. Friendship is not merely mutual affection, but the active collaboration of two people genuinely invested in each other's flourishing, which is a structure of partnership applied to the most intimate available human relationship. Quote application. The community the mission builds is friendship as partnership in Aristotle's complete sense. Not merely the warm feeling of association, but the genuine mutual commitment to shared goals of wisdom and kindness, the genuine reciprocity of investment in each other's development, and the genuine accountability that comes from actually caring about each other's outcomes. Build partnerships. Discover that the genuine ones are also friendships. Aristotle appears in teams 35, 40, and 45 as well. Here, in the Nicomachean Ethics discussion of philia, the Greek term that covers friendship, love, and affiliation, his most structurally precise observation about friendship takes the stage. Born in 384 BC in Stagira, Macedonia, and spending 20 years as a student at Plato's Academy before founding his own lyceum in Athens, Aristotle understood friendship as one of the central topics of ethics rather than a personal matter separate from moral life. His identification of friendship as partnership, as the mutual investment of two people in each other's genuine flourishing, reflects his conviction that genuine human relationships were not merely pleasant, but constitutive of the good life. The person without genuine friendship as partnership was, for Aristotle, missing something essential to genuine human flourishing, not merely something pleasant. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Build the partnerships that are also genuine friendships, the mutual commitments to shared goals and genuine reciprocal investment that constitute both, rather than the comfortable associations that are neither. 2. Apply Aristotle's structure to the mission's community relationships. Genuine partners in the work of wisdom and kindness who are also genuine friends in the mutual investment of each other's flourishing. 3. Recognize that the friendship as partnership structure is the model for everything the mission is building. Not the pleasant association, but the genuine mutual commitment that partnership names and friendship sustains.
Quote 47.4. Pessimism leads to weakness, optimism to power. William James, 1842-1910. Quote definition. The habitual orientation toward expected failure, pessimism, produces through its own mechanism the weakness it anticipates. The pessimist attempts less, persists less, recovers less easily, and thereby confirms the expectation that produced the weakness. The habitual orientation toward expected success, optimism, produces the opposite cycle. More attempts, more persistence, more recovery, and thereby generates the power it anticipated. The belief system produces what it predicts. Quote application. Growing stronger requires the optimism that generates the attempt and persist cycle that genuine strength requires. The mission's optimism, the genuine expectation that wisdom can replace hatred, that communities can genuinely become kinder, that human transformation is possible, is not naive sentiment, but the practical generator of the power that pessimism's self-confirming weakness would prevent. Optimism is the operational stance of genuine strength. William James appears in teams 36 and 45 as well, where his principles about altered thinking and beginning to be now anchored those frameworks. Born in 1842 in New York City and founding American pragmatism, James understood the practical consequences of belief systems with the precision of both a psychologist and a philosopher. His observation about pessimism and optimism reflects his core pragmatist conviction. Beliefs are tools for navigating reality, and the tool that produces weakness, pessimism, is a worse tool than the one that produces power, optimism, regardless of any abstract question about which is more realistic. The better tool is the one that produces better outcomes, and James's evidence was unambiguous. Optimism produces power, pessimism produces weakness, and the choice between them is practical as well as philosophical. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Choose optimism as the practical operational stance, not naive positivity that ignores genuine difficulty, but the genuine expectation of success that generates the attempt-and-persist cycle that genuine power requires. 2. Apply James's power production logic to the mission. The optimistic conviction that hatred can be replaced by wisdom is not a comfort, but a generator, producing the attempts, the persistence, and the recovery that the pessimistic alternative would prevent. 3. Recognize pessimism as the practical weakness producer it is, not the realistic assessment of difficulty, but the self-confirming cycle that converts anticipated failure into actual weakness through its own mechanism.
Quote 47.5. Live your life and forget your age. Jean-Paul 1763 to 1825. Quote definition. Age, the accumulated years, and the social expectations attached to them, is one of the more limiting lenses through which people constrain their own genuine engagement with what life offers. The instruction to forget age is the instruction to engage with the present possibilities of life fully and without the self-imposed limitation that at my age I should not, or it is too late for. Produces. Life is not lived in age categories, but in genuine present engagement. Quote application. Growing Stronger has no age limit, and the mission's work reaches people at every stage of life. Jean-Paul's principle is a standing invitation to the person who thinks they are too old for genuine wisdom development, too established for genuine change, too far along a path to redirect. Forget the age, live the life. Every genuine wisdom encounter is available at every age, and the strength that comes from genuine engagement has no expiration date. Johann Paul Friedrich Richter, who published as Jean-Paul, was born in 1763 in Wunsiedel, Bavaria, grew up in poverty, struggled financially for most of his adult life, and became one of the most celebrated and most idiosyncratic German authors of the Romantic era. His novels Hesperus, Titan, and Siebenke's were enormously popular in Germany in his era, though his reputation has faded outside German literary history. He was known for his combination of warm humor, sentimental depth, and philosophical observation that his contemporaries found uniquely his own. His observation about living life and forgetting age comes from a man who had spent his career observing how the social categories that people assigned to themselves, including age, constrained what they were willing to attempt, imagine, and become, and who had concluded consistently that the constraint was self-imposed rather than genuinely limiting. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Release the age constraints that limit what is attempted, imagined, and pursued, not as denial of genuine physical reality, but as the refusal of the social expectations that constrain more than genuine limitation does. 2. Apply this to the mission's reach. The person who thinks they are too old to change, too established to learn, too far along to redirect, is exactly the person for whom Jean-Paul's instruction is most practically relevant. 3. Recognize that growing stronger has no age limit. The wisdom that builds genuine strength is available at every stage, and the strength built from genuine wisdom engagement does not expire with the passing of years.
Quote 47.6. Everything that is done in the world is done by hope. Martin Luther 1483 to 1546. Quote definition. Every human action, every building constructed, every relationship built, every mission pursued, every seed planted, is motivated by the hope that the action will produce something worth the effort of performing it. Without hope of some kind, however modest, however uncertain, the action would not be undertaken. Hope is not one motivator among many but the universal motivator without which no human deed would be done. Quote application. The mission of making America wiser and kinder is done by hope. The hope that wisdom genuinely can replace hatred, that genuine human transformation is possible, that the communities reached will be genuinely changed by the encounter with these principles. Luther's principle is both the description and the validation. Everything the mission does is done by this hope, and that is exactly as it should be because everything done in the world is done by hope. Martin Luther was born in 1483 in Albin, Saxony, the son of a copper miner who had risen to modest prosperity, was educated at the University of Erfurt where he planned a legal career, entered an Augustinian monastery after a terrifying thunderstorm in 1505, and in 1517 nailed his 95 Theses to the door of the castle church in Wittenberg, the act that launched the Protestant Reformation and permanently divided Western Christianity. He translated the Bible into German, establishing the modern German language in the process, married a former nun, and spent the remainder of his life building the Lutheran Church while producing theological writings of enormous range and influence. His observation that everything done in the world is done by hope comes from a man whose entire life was an extended act of hope. The hope that genuine religious reform was possible, that truth was stronger than institutional corruption, that the ordinary person deserved access to the scripture in their own language. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Acknowledge hope as the genuine universal motivator behind every human deed, not a supplement to reason and planning but the foundation without which neither would produce any action at all. 2. Apply Luther's comprehensive claim to the mission. Every piece of wisdom content, every community engagement, every human connection attempted is done by hope. And the naming of that hope honestly is not weakness but the honest acknowledgement of what drives all genuine human action. 3. Draw motivation from Luther's formulation. The work is being done by hope, as all genuine work is, and the work done by hope is in the best available company because everything that has ever been genuinely accomplished in the world was done by exactly the same force.
Quote 47.7. He that humbleth himself wishes to be exalted. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844–1900. Quote definition. The performance of humility, the strategic self-abasement that positions the performer for the eventual elevation they are actually seeking, is not genuine humility but its inverse. Pride wearing humility's clothing to achieve pride's goals. Genuine humility is not a strategy for eventual exaltation but an honest acknowledgement of actual limitation. The person who humbles themselves as a means to an end has neither the humility nor the freedom from pride that genuine strength requires. Quote application. Growing genuinely stronger requires the genuine humility that recognizes actual limitation honestly, not the performed self-deprecation that positions for applause, not the strategic modesty that signals virtue while seeking advancement. Nietzsche's penetrating observation is the standing check. When humility is being performed, ask what the performance is for. Genuine humility needs no audience and seeks no return. The performed variety always does. Friedrich Nietzsche appears in Teams 13, 29, 33, and 39 as well. Born in 1844 in Rocken, Prussia, and producing his most important philosophical work in the decade before his mental collapse in 1889, Nietzsche was the most penetrating psychological observer of human self-deception in the 19th century. His observation about performed humility comes from his analysis of ressentiment, the psychology of those who lack the power to act directly on their desires and who therefore pursue them through indirect means, including the strategic performance of the virtues that serve as vehicles for the ambitions those virtues are meant to disguise. He had observed enough genuinely humble performances that served genuinely ambitious ends to identify the pattern with characteristic precision. The humbler who wishes to be exalted is not practicing a virtue but executing a strategy. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Distinguish genuine humility, the honest acknowledgement of actual limitation, from performed humility that positions the performer for the elevation they are actually seeking. 2. Apply Nietzsche's check to self-assessment. When humility is being expressed, is it genuinely acknowledging limitation or strategically positioning for recognition? The honest answer is where genuine strength development begins. 3. Use this as the standing caution for the mission's own self-presentation. Genuine acknowledgement of limitations and failures is the authentic variety. Performed modesty that signals virtue while seeking credit is Nietzsche's humbler wishing to be exalted.
Quote 47.8. As a cure for worrying, work is better than whiskey. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882. Quote definition. The anxiety produced by worry, the restless mental rehearsal of anticipated difficulties, is more effectively addressed by the genuine engagement of actual work than by the chemical numbing of intoxication. Work converts the diffuse energy of worry into directed productive action. Whiskey converts it into nothing. Both address the symptom. Only work addresses the source, because the work that worry was rehearsing is now being done rather than dreaded. Quote application. The worry that accompanies genuine commitment to the mission, about what might not work, what resistance might come, what outcomes cannot be guaranteed, is most reliably cured by doing the work rather than contemplating it. Emerson's practical prescription is the standing cure for the anxiety that genuine commitment produces. When the worry arrives, apply work. The work converts the worry into the action it was anxious about, and the anxiety follows the action into resolution. Ralph Waldo Emerson appears in Teams 19 and 45 as well, where his observations about purposeful engagement and fear as compass anchored those frameworks. Born in 1803 in Boston, educated at Harvard, and spending 5 decades as the central figure of American transcendentalism, lecturer, essayist, mentor, Emerson was himself a man who converted worry into work with remarkable consistency. His observation about work and whiskey reflects the practical wisdom of a man who had experienced the anxiety of genuine commitment, to unpopular positions, to difficult truths, to the sustained effort of genuine intellectual work, and who had found that the remedy for the anxiety was always the same: do the work. He was not, by biographical account, particularly tempted by the whiskey. The work was his actual preference and his actual practice. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Apply work as the primary cure for worry, directing the energy of anxiety into the actual doing of what the worry was rehearsing, converting the mental preparation into the physical action that resolves what the preparation was anticipating. 2. Recognize that the numbing of worry through any form of avoidance, whether whiskey or its modern equivalents, addresses the symptom while leaving the source intact, while work addresses both simultaneously. 3. Apply Emerson's prescription to the mission's anxiety moments. When worry about what might not work is most acute, apply work. Do the thing the worry was about and find that the doing resolves what the contemplating cannot.
How they work together as a unified philosophy to replace hate with motivational education to guidealife.com. The Grow Stronger Framework. Growth Layer. Weakness as teacher and never conceding. Quotes 1, 2. Burke. Establish the mechanism of genuine strength, built through weakness honestly faced, not through uninterrupted success, making every limitation and failure an opportunity for the growth that success never requires. Crabbe. Provide the persistence principle that genuine growth requires. The game is never lost till won, ensuring that the growth process is not abandoned at apparent defeat before the actual outcome has been determined. Together, the mechanism and the persistence of genuine growth. Burke's Weakness Produces Strength is the honest account of how genuine strength is actually built through the limitation and failure that creates the learning that success never demands. Crabbe's Never Lost Till Won is the persistence that keeps the growth process going through apparent defeats, because the strength built through weakness requires the continued engagement that premature concession would end. Partnership Layer. Friendship as partnership and optimism as power. Quotes 3, 4. Aristotle. Provide the structure of genuine human collaboration, friendship as partnership, ensuring that the growing stronger happens within the mutual commitment and genuine reciprocity that makes sustained development possible. James. Establish optimism as the practical generator of power, not naive sentiment, but the operational stance that produces the attempt and persist cycle that genuine strength requires, making the choice of optimism a strength-building decision. Together, the community and the orientation of growing stronger. Aristotle's Friendship as Partnership provides the structural context, genuine mutual commitment, and reciprocal investment, in which growing stronger together is possible and sustainable. James's Optimism Produces Power provides the operational orientation that makes the partnership effective, the genuine expectation of success that generates the attempts and persistence that actual strength is built from. Liberation Layer. Forget age, and hope drives everything. Quotes 5, 6. Jean Paul, remove the age-based constraints that limit genuine engagement. Forget your age, live your life, making Growing Stronger available at every stage of life without the self-imposed expiration date that age consciousness applies. Luther, provide the universal motivating force. Everything done in the world is done by hope, validating hope as the engine of all genuine action and all genuine growth, including the Growing Stronger that Team 47 describes. Together, the availability and the engine of Growing Stronger at every stage. Jean Paul's age forgetting removes the false limitation that makes Growing Stronger seem age inappropriate past a certain point, is always available at every stage. Luther's hope drives everything provides the universal engine. The hope that genuine growth is possible is what makes the attempt that produces the growth, and this mechanism has no age limit and no exception. Authenticity layer, genuine humility, not performance, and work over whiskey. Quotes 7-8. Nietzsche, apply the penetrating check on genuine versus performed humility. The humbler who wishes to be exalted is not growing stronger, but performing growth while pursuing a different goal, ensuring that the growth is genuine. Emerson, provide the practical cure for the worry that genuine growth produces. Work is better than whiskey, converting the anxiety of genuine commitment into the directed action that resolves it while advancing the growth. Together, the authenticity and the practical cure of genuine Growing Stronger. Nietzsche's check ensures that the growth is genuine rather than performed, that what appears to be humility in the face of limitation is actually the honest acknowledgement of limitation rather than the strategic positioning for credit. Emerson's work over whiskey provides the practical instrument for the moments when the growth process produces its inevitable anxiety. Apply work, convert the worry into the action that resolves it.
Free Easy Extra Advantage Math, Spelling and Reading Workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free Easy Math Wisdom Workbooks with octo repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free Easy Alpha Cipher-coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our Learning to Spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And, if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms. Like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think, therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equalities help make us all wiser and kinder with blatantly subliminal messages promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults. You can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today.